So Jared, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the other side of this issue. We're talking about the impact here in the United States, but a big part of the reason why people are coming to this country, especially from Latin America and Central America, is because of the role the U.S. has played there for decades, doing things like funding death squads, helping organize coups against democratically elected governments, that governments and movements that wanted to break the grip the elite there had over the control of these countries, something that's existed since colonial times, really. And so you've seen a lot of people like Fresti are coming here from countries like El Salvador, where the U.S. sponsored death squads in the 1980s, or Nicaragua, where the UN ruled that the U.S. was carrying out war crimes and an illegal war against that country for them having the Sandinista government, which opposed U.S. foreign policy and wanted independent development there. Or Guatemala, where the U.S. supported a coup there in the 50s and backed a genocide there in the 80s. So talk a little bit about this. What role has the U.S. played in this crisis, and is there a way for the U.S. to make amends now with its immigration policy? You see people fleeing violence to this day.
So I was, right after college, I actually lived in El Salvador, probably about 10 kilometers from where Fresia was born. So we kind of have a very similar perspective. And I think El Salvador is really a unique country, and its role in all this is super interesting, because in the 80s, like you mentioned, there was a war in El Salvador in which the left attempted to come into government. The United States government funded the right-wing government, gave them all kinds of weapons. And because of that, really, we destroyed all the infrastructure, just made it really hard to work. And what happened was 1/4 of the Salvadoran population came to the United States. There's 6 million people in El Salvador and 2 million Salvadorans that live in this country. And over half their GDP is remesas, money sent from the United States back to El Salvador. Now, a lot of Salvadorans that are here actually would prefer to go back to El Salvador, or at least be able to go back and forth. But because they're undocumented, they're kind of stuck here. And so what that did is it started to create a huge vacuum in which all the people of working age were here, and all their little kids and their parents, who started to become elderly, were there. And in that power vacuum started to get filled by people that were being deported from the United States. So that left a ton of old people, a ton of little kids, and a ton of hardened criminals that learned to be criminals in the United States. Slowly, that group just started to dominate towns. Fresia can probably speak to this.
That's what she fled from.
Yeah, the primary scheme in El Salvador is something called renta. So they come to your house, your neighbor, and they say, hey, you got to give me $50 or I'm going to kill you. So then after a while, you run out of $50, so you're like, I can't deal with this. I don't want to die. You come to the U.S. They go to the next house. Before you know it, the whole village has to leave because psychotic 15-year-olds are killing everyone. And I think, Fresia, if you want to talk a little bit more, about sort of what it felt like in your town, I think it could give people a pretty good flavor of why people walk away from a country and a culture they know and come here.
Okay, voy a explicar eso rápidamente. Es una buena pregunta.
She's going to explain that briefly because it's a good question.
Básicamente, cuando yo me crecí con mi bisabuelo.
When she grew up with her great grandfather.
Descendiente judío.
He was a Jewish descendant.
Y básicamente toda la comunidad era bien tranquila desde el comienzo en mi niñez.
Everyone in the community was really peaceful during her childhood.
Pero después, poco a poco, comenzaron a llegar las maras.
But after little by little, the gangs started arriving.
Y básicamente comenzaban a reclutar a niños de 7 años, niños tan inocentes.
And basically they began recruiting 7-year-olds, very innocent children.
Para comenzar a que ellos siguieran sus pasos.
so that they would begin to follow in their footsteps
y matar gente.
and kill people.
Y básicamente miraban una niña bonita en la calle
And basically, they would see a little nice girl in the street,
ellos iban a decir, esta muchacha la vamos a agarrar para que se venga conmigo, ella va a ser mi mujer.
and they would see the girl and say, she's coming with me, she's going to be my girl.
No tenían opción.
And there was no other option.
Y si esa muchacha no se iba con esa persona, aunque tenía 14, 13 años,
And if the girl didn't go with that guy, even though she only was 14,
podían matar a su familia y la violaban y la mataban a ella también.
they would, kill the family and rape her and then kill her.
Así era la situación en El Salvador.
And that was the way it was in El Salvador.
Y los policías no hacían nada,
And the police did nothing
porque tenían miedo de que también las maras mataran a sus familias.
because they were also afraid the gangs would kill their families.
Y también sabemos que el país, El Salvador es un país muy pobre.
And we also know that El Salvador is a very poor country.
En mi tiempo, en mi niñez, ganaban como aproximadamente $10 la hora.
Eh.
El día, perdón. El día.
In my country during that time, people would earn $10 a day.
Y eso era muy poco. Y eso que trabajaban de construcción.
And this was very little, and this was in construction work.
Y otros ganaban $1 y algo al día.
And then some people earn $1 a day.
Imagínense que viene un hombre de mara en su casa y tú no tienes dinero.
Imagine a gang member comes to your house and you don't have money.
Y te dice, dame $50
And they tell you, give me $50
o mato a toda tu familia.
or I'll kill your whole family.
¿Qué tú harías?
What would you do?
¿No escaparías acaso
You wouldn't escape from your house
y salvar a tus hijos
and save your kids
o tu hermano
and your brother
o tus padres ancianos?
and your elderly parents?
¿No harían eso acaso?
You wouldn't do that as well?
Y a veces es muy difícil ponerse en nuestra posición cuando venimos a Estados Unidos.
And sometimes it's difficult to put yourselves in our position when we come to the U.S.
Muchas personas vienen acá y no son criminales.
Many people come here and they're not criminals.
Básicamente huyen de la triste realidad,
Basically, they're fleeing from the sad reality.
que es de sobrevivir
That is to survive
o morir.
or die.
Y otra cosa que quiero agregar es la siguiente.
And another thing she wants to add is the following.
Sin contar la corrupción de nuestro gobierno, que lo comenté desde el inicio.
Without saying the corruption of the government,
Cada presidente que se postulaba
every president that takes their place
robaba millones de dólares.
robbed millions of dollars.
Y ese dinero ni siquiera era del país.
And that wasn't from the country.
A veces ese dinero se lo prestaba a otros países, a El Salvador.
Sometimes it was money that was loaned from other countries to El Salvador.
El Salvador está endeudado con otros países. Endeudado.
Oh, El Salvador is very indebted to other countries,
Y es muy triste
and it's very sad
que personas que comienzan desde niño comienzan a estar en las maras.
that kids start from a very young age
Y voy
to
a com-
join the
Voy,
gangs.
voy a compartir una historia bien corta, rápidamente.
And she's going to share a short story.
Yo estaba en segundo grado.
When she was in second grade,
Yo tenía una amiga que era una persona muy alegre.
she had a friend who was a very happy person.
Y en una ocasión ella estaba jugando en la calle.
One time they were playing in the street,
Y una persona la agarró porque había una balacera y estaban queriendo matar a un hombre que creo que estaba en una mara.
And there was a gunfight because they were looking for a man.
Y ese hombre agarra a mi amiga
And the man grabbed her friend,
y la usa como escudo,
and they used her like a shield,
un escudo humano.
a human shield.
Y le balacearon todas sus piernas. Sus piernas.
Oh, and they shot all over her legs.
Y básicamente ella quedó paralítica.
And she became paralyzed.
Ya no era la misma persona que yo conocí cuando estaba en segundo grado. Estábamos en el mismo grado todavía. Dejó de ir a la escuela.
They were in the same grade, and she stopped going to school because she became a different person.
Ya no era lo mismo.
She wasn't the same.
Imagínense todas esas cuestiones que yo miré desde muy pequeña y eso que no salía tanto. Yo me crecí en un lugar cristiano
She was raised in a Christian place,
y siempre iba a la casa, a la escuela y a la iglesia.
she always went to her house, the school, and the church.
La misma rutina siempre.
Always the same routine.
Y nunca salía de mi casa si no era la iglesia
And she never left her house if it wasn't the church
o la escuela.
or school.
Y en ocasiones querían que dejara de ir de la escuela porque era una situación muy peligrosa.
And sometimes she didn't want to go to school because it was a very dangerous place.
Y si yo quería ir a la ciudad, a cada rato miraba a personas robándole las carteras a personas, haciendo desastre.
And if she wanted to go to the city, she would see people robbing people, and it was a disaster.
Por eso nunca me dejaban salir.
And that's why they never let me go out of my house.
Entonces esas son las cosas que nosotros vivimos en nuestros países.
And that's what she had to live through in her country.
Entonces eso es lo que él estaba hablando desde el comienzo, de las rentas.
And that's what he was talking about the rent, la renta.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.